Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be taking a look back at the tropics again today. We still got Major Hurricane Douglas still all going. We got what's now Tropical Storm Hannah in the Gulf. We also have Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which we have some good news from that system. And we also have another tropical wave to watch. And that one there could bring some trouble in the upcoming days. But first, let's talk about Major Hurricane Douglas. You can see how close it is to Hawaii right now. Got 120-mile-per-hour wind, so it's at a Category 3 hurricane. It was a Category 4 last night, but since it's run into cooler waters, it's dying down. It's actually dying down fairly quickly. We can take a look to Major Hurricane Douglas here. It's actually, the eye is actually starting to come back a little bit here, so but it's still pretty starting to get a little bit disorganized here. You can see the eye is actually trying to come back, so that'll be something to watch here. You've seen yesterday we had a pretty clean eye yesterday, but since it's going over cooler waters, it's dying down. So really, the primary threat. Um, I, for, I knew I was forgetting to add a tab. Uh, go over in here. Let's go to that system, and I missed it somehow. There we go. So here's Douglas right here. You got Hawaii right over here. So this is sustained winds. And as you can see here, as we kind of get closer, things like Saturday night into Sunday is when it hits Hawaii. We really have to hope that it hits the Mississippi to the south because with the rain that the models are showing is just not good. Here's your rain right here. You can see here, it could be very heavy at times. And with that, you can see the winds at that point, it's pretty much a tropical storm. With that, but rainfall with this system, there's going to be quite a bit of rain. That was a pretty good swath. And as you can see there, some areas could be seeing up to 9 inches of rain, which is a lot of rain. At least it'll only be sticking around for a day or two, so it's not just going to be sitting there for a while. It's actually going to be going by, so at least it won't be sitting there during the entire time. But here's what the National Hurricane Center has to say with the Douglas here. Is that we're expecting Hawaii to at least get hit by a hurricane, then die down to a tropical storm when it hits to some of the far northwest islands there of Hawaii there. So pretty much a weak hurricane to a strong tropical storm, which is not too bad. It's better than a major hurricane. If the waters were still pretty warm, Hawaii will have a lot of major concerns for Hawaii. But the good news is it should be dying down as it kind of gets closer to Hawaii. And let's go ahead and move on to let's see here. Let's go back here and let's move on to the Atlantic. The Atlantic is still pretty busy here. We got this tropical wave to watch here. It's got a 40% chance in the next 5 days. So, but there's still some. We're still a little bit far. We're still a little bit far out from this taking in this region in here, but we'll see about that. It'll take its time to get to that region. But first, let's talk about Hannah here. It's now a tropical storm. We got 50-mile-per-hour winds coming from Hannah at this time. And this is their cone here. And as you can see there, we got tropical storm warnings pretty much anywhere just south of Houston, all the way down to the Mexico state and the border. You can see there it's expected to be a tropical storm. It could be pretty much a strong tropical storm actually. And if we look into Hannah, you can actually tell here that it's it was a little bit better organized last night around the 11 o'clock hour in Eastern time, but it seems like it's kind of calmed down just a little bit on the intensification. But man, there's a lot of convection going on, so that's not a good indication there because it could bring a lot of rain. And this is what the Weather Prediction Center is predicting for rainfall. You can see this far southern end of Texas there could see 6 to 10 inches of rain, which is a lot of rain there. If we go back to the European model with this system here, and as you can see here, Corpus Christi right there. And as you can see there, it's indicating rainfall amounts up to a foot. And that is a lot of rain. That can cause a lot of concerns there. You can see here, even GFS similar things. So we really need to watch the system very closely. You know, just offshore, there's over a foot of water that could fall just offshore, even 14 inches, which is ridiculous amount of rain there. So Southern Texas, really the primary threat is really just going to be the major flooding issues. Even could be some storm surge as well. We'll see if there's any watches and warnings for. Well, let's take a look at their peak surge, which is this is experimental, really just 1 to 3 feet, and that's really just it for storm surge. So it's not too bad. For storm surge wise, here's the Weather Prediction Center flash flood risk. We can see this get upgraded to a high risk. You can see there we got a moderate risk in place there, and that's on day 2. But I think we can see this get upgraded to maybe a high risk for flash flooding. So because the amount of rain it's going to put down, I mean it's a crazy amount of rain for a short period of time. There, it's not going to stick around there for too long, which is good news. We'll actually take a look on here. Here's your system right here. Goes, it gets landfall. So I was trying to say there, landfall will be tomorrow afternoon. And you can see it kind of slows down just a little bit, but really Sunday it's pretty much gone. So you're talking about really a foot of water in just 24 hours. I mean that is a lot of rain for a short period of time when you really think about it. So really, the probability for it, I will say at this point, it's just going to be the flash flooding for it. Good news is it'll be moving at a decent pace, so and not just stick around there for a while. There could also be a tornado threat as well. Typically, tropical systems can produce a few tornadoes out there, so well, that'll be something to keep an eye on as well. More than likely, just kind of sticking around the Mexican border and south there. So that's Hannah. Let's move to Gonzalo. And Gonzalo is just very disorganized right now. It had a really good take in of dry air. That's why it died down, and it's still dying down here. If we go back to the National Hurricane Center with Gonzalo, it's actually down to 45 miles per hour, and not too and really yesterday it was at 60 miles per hour. So this is dying down at a pretty good pace. So safe to say is a hurricane is unlikely with Gonzalo, which is good news for the islands here that's be heading right towards here. So yeah, and let's take a look at their cone here. And we do expect these islands here to get hit by this tropical storm here. And you do have some tropical storm warnings and watches in place. Expect these watches here to become warnings very shortly. We'll probably expect to see that. And it'll die out. It will die out somewhere in the Caribbean here, which we'll take a look on here. And pretty much is due to wind shear with this system here. Really higher the numbers, more likely it can shred the system apart, especially how weak it is right now. It's more than likely not going to survive the Caribbean. You can see, look all that wind shear it's going to be hitting into. You're going to have low, low level winds going, moving west and upper winds going the opposite direction. So it's going to shred the storm completely apart and just basically kill it. So really pretty much it's safe to say right now the United States, Cuba, even maybe even Mexico doesn't even have a threat to this tropical system, which is really good news with this here. At least this is what the GFS is showing with that. And if we go to Gonzalo, which we actually do not have the intensity forecast right in here, so But you can see here, if it does survive here for it, this is where it could go from the Canadian model, which I highly doubt it. You can see it just basically dies out right in there. So yeah, so that's some really good news there from Gonzalo. And here's the intensity forecast. Forgot to show this here for Douglas. You can see it just dies down very quickly. It just really dies out, and it becomes a tropical storm later on down the road. So really, the National Hurricane Center hasn't really called us as an invest yet, so we do not have the tropical models yet, but we do have the long range models. We have the European model and the GFS. But again, the National Hurricane Center is putting in a 40% chance for this tropical wave to develop into a tropical system in the next 5 days. In the next 2 days or 48 hours, we're not really going to see it develop. It's really in the next 5 days. So, and let me tell you what, if you look into satellite and the convection and stuff like that, the temperatures up in the clouds, it's pretty impressive tropical wave. So, we're going to see uh, about this system here later on. But let's take a look into that system here using the European model here. So here's your tropical wave. Let's move back here. So really your tropical wave is right in here at this point here. You can actually see it spinning right in there. So it's pretty disorganized here. You can see how that tropical wave just moves east. I meant west here. And you can tell here, it does start to get organized just a little bit. Really getting into Monday. It doesn't really show it strengthening that much, but you see the direction that it's going. It actually kind of follows the similar track with Gonzalo. If this happens again, it may have to lead might get into some wind shear. The original track from the European model is actually missing all the islands to the north, but it seems like at this run here, it's going into the Caribbean, and it seems like it's not really doing much in the Caribbean at all. And then kind of strengthens a little bit, but and that's 10 days out, so more than likely this is going to change here. If we look into the GFS here, it doesn't really quite show it. That's a different system. If we kind of continue back, 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 back. Huh. Doesn't seem like it shows it's not really doing much of anything at this point. The European model is definitely showing this system here. Here's Gonzalo, what's left of it right there. You know, it starts to get organized on Monday into Tuesday, just a little bit. You can see what the winds here, pretty much staying a tropical storm at this point from the European model. You can see here it goes over Jamaica as well, so that kind of dies it down as well. And then starts to go into the Gulf, but again, this will likely change, so take this as a grain of salt for right now. So don't take this as an official forecast there. So because on the last run, it was taken up by the Bahamas. So yeah, there may be some wind shear going on with this storm here. This is the upper level winds, and you can see here, doesn't look like there's not that much wind shear. So, but we're gonna say it may be dry air there. If we look into the humidity, yeah, it's hitting dry air. That's what's going on with the system. So, but that's again, just take a grain of salt for right now. Don't take this as an official forecast with this system. But that's just something to show you guys with that tropical wave of what could happen, but more likely will change. But anyways, guys, this is all I got for you guys today. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this big tropical tropics roundup. If you guys did like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I will answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.